Nadia Mukami and her 50 million Kika apartment. Nadia Mukami is building an investment worth 50 million Kenya shillings. Now, does the former husband have a stake in this 50 million investment? No. Did she start building this investment when she was still in marriage? Yes. Was the husband supposed to be supportive while she was building it? Yes. Was the husband supposed to benefit from this investment? No. Who was supposed to own this investment 100%? Her children and her, because this was exclusively hers while she was still in marriage. Nadia Mukami is a sharp girl, bro. That is a sharp girl. She had devised a strategy where she would develop her own investment while she was still married, and the husband would get none of it. I'm getting this from her own mouth. You know, I've not started giving my own view. I'm narrating exactly what she said. And you can see that even before I say what I want to say, the guy was getting a raw deal. Now, let me give you the exact information according to how I heard from her own mouth, that when she was still married, she thought that how could she make money independently and contribute to bills in the house. So she said she was going to fund her own investment. Well, 50 million is not little money. That is $500,000. Even in developed countries like the US, that is not little money. That is life-changing money. A lot of people dream to even get that kind of money, okay? So she decided that as I'm your wife, I want to put up an investment of my own and my children. Now, you as my husband, you will build a home for us. And for me, I will build my own apartment and my children. The lady saw far. You see, this lady saw far. And she knew that in future, if this man tries to joke around, she would fleece him. You see? Now, let me explain to you what would have happened. And I am very sure that Arrow Bwoy would have ended up like Captain Waweru. That one I am very sure. You see, there's something we call matrimonial property. Now, if you build a family home, you have built matrimonial property. Bro, that is not your own. As a father, if you are a man and you have a wife and children and you build a home for them, that is their home. That is matrimonial property. It is for you, all of you. So it is not yours. So that is why Nadia Mukami told this guy, she looked at him and I think she felt that he did not understand this law, that build for us a matrimonial home, that one is for all of us, okay? If anything happens, according to law, the court is supposed to divide this property among us because this is our own. This is matrimonial property. We have a stake in this. We've been living here. There is no way the court can say, get out of the home. The court will say, stay there, because this is where you've been staying. Now, the investment property, the Kika Apartments, worth 50 million shillings. What does the law say? The law says that if you divide matrimonial property, you do it according to contribution. Okay? According to contribution. Now, the home is not according to contribution because they've been living there. They have a stake there. Now, this Kika apartment, she contributed herself. That means that in case of anything, the law would say that Nadia Mukami, go away with your 50 million apartment. Nadia Mukami, you have a stake in the matrimonial home. Now, Arrow Bwoy, you have just a part of the home. Either you get out of that home or you find somewhere to live. Like that guy called Captain Waweru who went to live with his brother. You see, he lost his home. Do you see how Nadia Mukami is very sharp? She saw very far. She saw that if I build something of my own, I will own it until I die. And if this guy builds a home for us, we have a stake in it. He can't own it until he die. If anything happens, he's on the losing end. Now, young men, have you started to see what is happening in the current world? Some of you should start understanding the marriage dynamics, how they are changing very fast. And these things are changing fast as women start getting money, getting plum jobs, getting big salaries. Women have now started putting up their own private investments and they have started securing their own future. And you see, men have not realized that they are naturally generous, that they naturally have good hearts. They want to protect their families. You naturally have, this is in you. But a woman wants to protect her own interests. Bro, I want you to go and check. I think I saw the data. Is it in Retirement Benefits Authority or what? It said that if a man has property, and he wants to write a will on who will benefit from that property, there is a 90% chance that a man will say, my wife will benefit from this. There is a 90% chance. I don't want you to forget that 90% chance. But if a wife has property, if a wife has money, and she wants to write primary beneficiaries, there is a 10% chance that she will put the husband as the primary beneficiary. So this means that husbands have a 10% chance of inheriting a wife's wealth. Even if you are in good terms, you have not disagreed, you love your wife, there is no commotion in that marriage. If a wife is brought a will to write, she will write her brothers, her sisters, and her parents. This is proven by the Retirement Benefits Authority, and statistics have been done, and all the wills that are in this country, if they are put here, all of them are 100% from women. 90% of women in healthy marriages have chosen their children, their sisters, their brothers, and their parents if they are alive. And if you put 100% wills of men, you will find that 90% of them who are in healthy marriages have chosen their wives. And so men are still living in this cocoon of thinking that we are still in a traditional setup where we are supposed to take good care of women 100%. And so you find that men are still giving away their property, their wealth, their well-being to their wives. And wives who are in healthy marriages are protecting their wealth. That is why the story of Nadia Mukami is very interesting. She was still married to Arrow Bwoy. She still loved that man. Arrow Bwoy still loved her. These two were in a healthy union, and we all of us saw. But while they were still in that healthy union, Nadia Mukami thought that, this marriage, I'm supposed to protect my own interests. You see, she's protecting her interests first, not the interest of the man. Let me look for a way to protect my own interests. And how do I protect my own interests? Start building Kika Apartments. And worth 50 million, not very little money. And what would Arrow Bwoy do? All Arrow Bwoy's earnings, let him use all his earnings to build us a home. So that in case anything happens, I can benefit with my children and he can go wherever he wants to go. That means that if Arrow Bwoy would have built that home, which would have cost, I know, maybe 100 million, because if she's putting up an investment worth 50 million, what about an investment home where Arrow Bwoy would build? Arrow Bwoy would take all his life savings from music and everywhere and put up a very expensive home for them. And he goes until he reaches 50. And then they disagree. This marriage has ended very early. So there were signs that it will still end. Okay? And so if it ends, what would have happened? Arrow Bwoy ends up like Captain Waweru. And Nadia Mukami ends up with an investment and children to take care of her. Men, young men, you need to understand how life is changing so fast. This is not a traditional setup where men were supposed to take care of women 100%. In the traditional setting, men used to take care of women because women were not working. And laws provided a favorable environment where women would live peacefully and thrive, and women would avoid losing property, because women never inherited any property. Women never participated in high-paying jobs. Sometimes women even would not vote in these developed countries. And so the laws were created in such a way that they have to protect women. And that means that the man had to be a provider 100%. You provide everything to protect this woman. But now in 2026, we are in a world that is fast changing. Women now have investments. Women are driving good cars. Women have good jobs. Women are in chamas. They are contributing millions of shillings. Women are putting up things that men cannot even put up. There are a lot of rich women out there. Now, the true colors we are seeing from the records that we are seeing in the government records, according to government records, we can see that women are now starting to hide their assets, okay? And men used to willingly leave their assets to wives. Now, women are protecting their interests, and men are protecting the interests of the families. Are you seeing that? Now, Nadia Mukami's situation is a very good example of how that happens. And this is a light to young people. I'm not speaking this to hate on Nadia Mukami. I'm not a hater. I'm just an analyst. I'm not hating on Arrow Bwoy or anything. I'm not hating on marriage. I saw somebody say that you are encouraging marriages to happen. You know, you don't like marriages. No. I love marriages. I want people to get married. I want people to stay in healthy marriages. But young men should understand changing dynamics. that women now have money, women are protecting their interests, and when they enter into marriage, they enter into marriage with the self in mind. Self. I want to go there and protect my own interests. Now, as a man, you are going there to protect the family interests. And that is going just to work against you. Bro, that is going to work against you. And you can see what is happening. We can learn from old men who have been there, and we can learn from young men who are like me and people like Arrow Bwoy. I can confidently tell you that we have a lot of men out there who've lost property because they did not understand law. They did not understand law. And when you marry a sharp wife like Nadia Mukami is intelligent, bro. That's not an average girl. In fact, there is a time I said that Arrow Bwoy had hit a jackpot. How did you hit a jackpot? This girl is educated, talented. She understands finances. She's confident. When she comes on camera, she's very objective, by the way. Have you heard Nadia Mukami speak? Nadia Mukami speaks in an eloquent manner, and she knows how to articulate issues, and she's very logical. I've done mental health assessment. I know how to assess the cognitive status of people. Nadia Mukami is objective. Her mentation is very good. Her judgment is also very good. And so when we are marrying women who are smart, like Nadia Mukami, you also need to be smart. Don't marry a smart woman and you are ignorant. I don't know what led to the breakup. I don't want to speculate that. But you see, if this marriage would have continued, it meant that Arrow Bwoy would have to lie low. Because this girl is not your average girl. This is not an average woman. Nadia Mukami is not average, bro. That's a smart lady. When we start marrying these smart ladies, we must also understand how to approach them. Do they go to chamas? Yes, they go to chamas. Do they save there? Yes, they save there. Where is their salary going? You need to understand. What are they investing in? You need to understand. Is what they are investing in beneficial to you as the husband? In case this thing ends, how do you benefit? Because that is now a discussion among women. Women are now meeting, discussing how they can protect their interests. And that is why husbands, I pity husbands, by the way, a lot of husbands don't know where the salaries of their wives are going. Just call an average husband and ask him, are you investing together with your wife? Now, do you know where the salary of your wife went? They don't know. Even me, when my wife was working, I never knew where her money went. I just used to provide everything. If you ask her money, she says, I used it. Where did you use it? I don't know. I'm confidently speaking this because I know it's true. You ask, where did you take your salary? She doesn't know. Have you paid rent? No. Have you bought food? No. Have you done anything in this house that we can see? No. But where is the money? You don't know. These women are putting up private investments that will benefit them in the future. And so if you don't become smart, bro, this thing will work against you. And that is why I've started a series of these videos to help young men understand this thing before you get married, not after you've gotten married. Because after you marry, you will not understand how this thing works. Understand this thing first before you get married. You need to understand, what type of a woman am I marrying? Is she an ignorant woman? Is she a smart lady? And why would you marry an ignorant woman, by the way? If you have if you are sharp like me, brilliant, you know, you cannot just go for any average, useless, ignorant girl. You select the best in the market, okay? You go for beautiful, confident, and sharp girls like Nadia Mukami. Now, after you marry her, what agreements do you put into place? Like the agreement that Arrow Bwoy had, that was a useless agreement. You have an agreement where you have to put up matrimonial property and she's putting up private investment. That if anything happens, she's protecting her interests and you are getting a raw deal. You see, sit down and make agreements that are reasonable. That we are putting this is for the family. And by the way, do joint ownership. So what does joint ownership mean? And it's still very risky. What is joint ownership? If you die, like for example, if you own property with your wife and you die, she will automatically take that property. And once she takes that property, data has shown, who do they prioritize? They prioritize their brothers, their children, their sisters, and their parents. Now, if she dies, you take over that property. Now, what do men prioritize? Their children. You see, men prioritize their children and their wives. Data is showing that. It's not me saying that. It's not an opinion. These are proven statistics. So if you are in joint ownership and you happen to die first and all the property goes to her, it means that she will find a way to play around with it. You see that? And there's something we call ownership in common. Joint ownership and ownership in common is not the same. And so you should prioritize what we call ownership in common, which she cannot own 100% when you die. And if she dies, you cannot own 100%. Still, the law can still play around with it. And even if you do that, the law will still find a way to play around with it too. You see, and this is why I usually sit down and I ask myself, marriage is a union where two individuals who don't trust each other come together to make an agreement that is not built on trust. Because why should you sit with your wife to write an agreement? If you are not jointly owning this thing, because God says that the two will become one. And so when you get married, you people have become one, okay? Now, everything you own should be joint ownership because now you are one. Now, if you are one, how do you start operating like separate individuals? That you now want to sit down, you now want to write an agreement that you will do this and I will do this, so that in case the law comes, one party is disadvantaged. And so what is the benefit of that union? Sometimes usually I look at it and I say that there's something very wrong with modern marriage. And I don't mean that people should not get married. I mean there's something wrong. Because if you get married, you should own things together. But if you part ways, and then the law has to say that you, according to contribution, you will have stayed there and I stay here and then we contribute. Okay? I make you pregnant, stay there and I stay here, then we contribute. Then because we are like partners. You see, when I look at the law, it treats a marriage as a partnership, not the way God says it. It's one. Two people should become one and they should own things together. Okay? Now, in modern marriages, these two people are like in a partnership, like in business. And so what is the importance of that union? Sometimes I look at it and then I say, no. And you know the way marriage used to be treated in the past. You know, in the past they used to say, happy wife, happy life. That if the wife is happy, then everything is happy in the home. That one actually used to be possible when women were exclusively at home. They used to stay at home. And so the happiness of a wife 100% depended on the husband. It was your job to make sure that the wife is happy. And so if you visited any home in the 1800s, 1700s, and you find that the wife is happy, it definitely means that the husband is treating her well, the home is happy, everything is happy. But right now, wives are not in the kitchen. Wives are not at home. Wives are outside there looking for money. And so a happy wife does not necessarily mean that a home is happy. She could be happy on her own. And that's why they say, I'm single and happy. Okay? She doesn't necessarily need to depend on you to be happy. So the concept of happy wife, happy life is false. There's nothing like happy wife, happy life in the current life. Okay? They never said that happy husband, happy, because we used to be happy on our own. And another thing, and I think this comes from the Bible, it says that whoever gets a wife gets a good thing. Okay? That also used to work way back when women were exclusively at home. That when you get her and you put her in your home, she will support you to build a home. And that one means she is a good thing. But in the current marriage, she may not be a good thing because she's also out there building her own life. It also means that when a wife gets a husband, she's also getting a good thing. You are also a good thing, bro, in the current generation. So overall, let me not lose my train of thought concerning Nadia Mukami and Arrow Bwoy. It's just a lesson for young men. We are still continuing to learn about this thing of marriage and property and the progress of young men. In general, marriage is going to curtail your progress, and the government and women are working in collaboration against men. The law and the women are working against you, and you need to detect that very early. You need to detect how the law and women can work together against you. And we are not dealing with ignorant women right now. We have a lot of women enrolling in universities. We have a lot of women in employment right now. We have a lot of women in business. A lot of women have studied careers that require a lot of intelligence. Like we have female doctors. Women have studied medicine. Women have studied engineering. They are female lawyers. Women are smart right now. Women are not ignorant right now. They are not like babies that we used to guide. No, these are smart individuals. Work with them as partners. not as wives. And somebody will still say that Gidi is against marriage. I'm not against marriage. We are dealing with an enlightened generation. These are smart human beings, and so do not act ignorant. Thank you for listening to me. This is Gidi Akali, and we shall meet again in another video. Peace.